Yes, James, you are correct. We would need a Boolean value. You don't need to ask for input or something, just that particular statement. Yes, Sarah, we would have a quiz all the way up to session 6 and 7, not just 6 and 7, all the way up to, so 1 through 7 on Wednesday. Do you want us to post an answer in chat? Yes, post the answer in chat. Bool x equals to n mod 7 equals 0 and n mod 2 equals 1. Perfect, very good. Present a number, bool x. John, it should be bool a equals to, but yeah, in any case, you are correct. Not equals to 0 is also a thing. Perfect. Does everyone agree with John and Marco's answer? Perfect. So, yes, so perfect. So remember that we learned two things with this problem. The first thing is there is always a potentially a case where you did not cover what your program should do uh, in case we are using if conditions. And secondly, we can also have a Boolean value that can check if a number is, I mean, you can also have a Boolean value that stores the result of certain conditional statements. So in this case, the conditional statement was n mod 7 is 0, that means it's a multiple of 7, and n mod 2 not equals 0, that means that it's not. Would you also use a while loop? Bria, what do you mean if using a, so for the quiz or for this particular problem? So tell me, how would you use a while loop for this particular problem? See, remember, loops are something where which we use in order to do something over and over again and again and again for a period of time, right? So uh, uh, so let's say that I want to add certain set of numbers. I would be adding them to some temporary variable again and again and again and again over time. And that is somewhere where I can use a loop. Any loop, while loop, for loop, do while loop, does not matter. But in case of this particular problem, we just need to do one thing, right? So check if it is a multiple of 7 and if it's an odd number. There is nothing that we need to do again and again and again, right? So this would not be something where I would use a loop. Now, if I were to ask you guys to write the answer to the solution, where you keep on asking the user for new numbers again and again and printing out zeros and ones if it was a multiple of 7 and odd or not, right? In that case, yes, I would have a loop where I would put this entire cout statement and including this if condition inside that loop, where that particular loop body would be executed again and again. But we would not be using a loop to figure out if a number is a multiple of 7 or something like that, but we are using a loop to execute this again and again to ask for more and more numbers. So I can say while 1 keep on doing this. In that case, if I run this particular program, now this program is going to print out, please enter a number. I give 42, it gives you a 0. Then it asks for another number, let's say 21, it gives me a 1. Then it asks for another number, then let's say 5, it gives you a 0, and so on. So this is where we would have used a loop if we were going to do this thing again and again over time. But in this, our current problem, we do not have any loop requirements. So does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. I'll come to this while one in a second, but let's check. I will post a homework tomorrow by noon, and it will be for both of those sessions. So I will post your homework for tomorrow, and we will have a quiz on Wednesday. Okay. Now, someone tell me Why did I write while 1 and what does it mean? The homework will be due next week. So next Tuesday by midnight. While 1 lets it run forever. Why does it do that? Because 1 is essentially true, right? As I said earlier, basically, yes, while true. Because 1 is true, all integer values, positive or negative. So while 10 is also true, while negative 10 is also true. So 10, while negative 10, while 1, while negative 1, all of these are infinite loops. The only situation where this is always false or while false is when we use 0, because a Boolean value only considers this 0 as a false value. Everything else is a true value. Okay, very good. Any questions? Okay. Sessions 6 and 7, the next sessions that you guys are going to read up on, talks about these nested loops and these nested structures and how you can use these nested elements to do some more complex programs. So it does have visualizations about those things. So if you go through it, it might become a bit more clearer about nested conditions and things like that. Okay. So we don't have that much time left. So let's start with, if you don't have any other questions, let's start with our practice sessions. So the problems that we are going to look at is problem number 12, problem number 18, problem number 27, and problem number 31. As with last time, I will pick one of you guys and you will share your screen, and perfect. You will share your screen. So the first person would be Dan, who will be solving problem number 12. So that is out of the thing. So you will share your screen and then show us your solution to your chosen problem. Once a student has done a particular problem, you're not allowed to work on that problem again. You need to choose something else. So Dan, would you be able to share your screen and solve problem number 12?
Yeah. Right now it's saying that I can't share my screen.
Give me a, okay. Now?
All right.
Can you even see Dan's screen now? Perfect. Okay, so Dan, explain your code to me.
So we have all the packages and all the namespace std, and then started off by identifying the float in, and then just like the problem asks, you see out the statement, please enter the temperature in Fahrenheit,
Perfect.
with a space, and then you see in the number, and it see out that temperature in Celsius is, and then I looked up the formula to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius.
Perfect.
So I think the
let's
the example was 89.6.
Yeah, let's use the textbook example. That is 89.6. And it prints out temperature in Celsius is 32. Perfect.
Is there anything?
Give me one sec. Dan, give me one sec. So Sarah, you can find the problems of these numbers inside Blackboard. There is a PDF called Practice Problems. So if you look into that PDF, we have a bunch of problems there. And usually in our practice sessions, we will be working through these problems. Yes, perfect answer. So Dan, tell me one thing. What would happen if I had not a float n, but int n?
So I had accidentally put int at first, and it defaults to like a lower number. So
yes,
9.6. Yeah, it keeps it down at 31.
Because now, since it's an integer number, it truncates of 0.6 and it just converts 89 Fahrenheit to Celsius. That is 30.
Right.
Perfect. One other thing. Let's try one thing. Give me 1 second. Let me find an example case. So let's see. Fahrenheit. Celsius. Okay, no. Okay, so Fahrenheit 32.5 when converted to Celsius becomes 0.277 Celsius. So 32.5 Fahrenheit is 0.2777 Celsius. Okay, so now try this particular example in your code and see what it outputs. It's still a floating point number, so it would accept 32.5.
What was the number?
32.5. 0.277. Perfect. Close it. Interesting. Okay. Let me tell you a couple things. So this works now, but let me tell you one thing that might be of importance later. So whenever you're using this division operator, right? In this scenario, we were doing 5 by 9 and your code works perfectly. Your code is correct, right? But whenever we are using the division operator is sometimes quite picky about what you are dividing the numbers with, right? So in this case, we are dividing 5 and 9. So 5 divided by 9, as we know, is some decimal value. But if you're just doing 5 divided by 9, the division operator considers this to be integer division in some compilers, in some cases, right? In that situation, sometimes it would just give you 0 because we know that 5 divided by 9 is 0. So sometimes it becomes an integer division. A more robust way of writing this code would be you say 5.0 divided by 9.0. That enforces the condition that it has to be a floating point division. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did have one question. If we wanted to limit this to like a decimal point or 2 decimal points so that if we put in 32.5, it doesn't spit out, 10 numbers.
Yes.
How do you
So
do that?
in that case, you would need to use some formatting tools of cout. So that is usually called setf, and you can look into that. For this course, we are not going to look into that much about number formatting things, but do look into that and let me know if you have questions about that, and we will discuss it. So essentially, just look into setf, setf.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Anybody else? Now we have the options of solving 18, 27, or 31. Where 18 is essentially write a program that takes in two numbers and outputs one number raised to the other number. So if the user gives you two numbers, so VI is going to do it. So the question is, if the user gives you two numbers, and you will need to ask the user for two numbers. So let's say that user gives 2 as n1 and 4 as n2. You need to output n1 to the power of n2, so 2 to the power of 4, and you should output 16. Now, you have to do this, Priya, without using any libraries or any POW function. You need to do this without importing anything except IOStream. You ready?
Yeah. Let me. Sorry, I'll share my screen. Okay. Quick. Okay. Does everyone see screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of started working on it. So basically, what I did is I first clarified the variables right here. So I did int n1 and int n2, and then I did